Okay, hello, hello, hello. And thank you for joining another episode of Supportive Advice Live. I appreciate you all coming on. Hopefully, this will be an educational show for you all. Today, we're going to talk about the stages of change. And so I'm going to kind of go over those, what those look like. And yeah, and then we will talk to someone that actually went through the stages of change, and they're going to describe that process. So, as always, I want to introduce Mr. Machismo. Hey, Mr. Machismo, how are you, sir?
Doing all right. I'm doing all right. We almost at the end of the week, so that's always a this Thursday is like a all right. We almost there. When I get to the podcast, so it's always a good morale booster, and then I get to learn some stuff. So there's that. How about you this week, Mister
Um,
Mrs. Big Time Radio Star? Oh.
I knew that was coming. I knew that was coming. I did.
Uh,
But in all honesty, it's been fun. It's been super fun. I got to do a commercial spot. I did my promo for the show. I met with the GM. I actually met him today, and yeah, and so in 2 weeks, Damage Control will be live on 95.9 WOBU, Cleveland's own. Our Voices United. So very psyched about that.
Awesome, awesome. Congrats. That's a dope accomplishment.
I don't have OVS on. Um, so right now I'm just trying to figure out my volume. Please stand by.
Do 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 do.
Testing, testing. Machismo?
1, 2, 3.
I can't hear nothing.
3, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3.
That did nothing. But thank you. That did nothing.
He's on, but
Do 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 do.
say something.
Say something else, Mr. Machismo.
Lucas.
Yeah,
Hello.
I'm not
There we
hearing
go.
you. I'm gonna put my earphones on.
Can that be where the earphones connected?
No.
Connect.
Can you hear me now?
Because who has the time? Who has the
Can you hear
time?
me now?
I don't have the time. Oh,
I think that the sound is working.
Do we have that
give me a
time?
sec.
Hello, Captain's
Mm.
log.
All right. Say something. Say something now, Mr. Machismo.
Something now. Oh, Captain's log. Enterprise spaceship.
Okay, say something now.
Something now.
Here.
I can't hear anything.
Oh, I
You're
thought you heard what I
ridiculous.
said. I thought it was funny too.
But it's okay. But it's a little ridiculous.
I can fix it. It just need a few minutes.
What you need a few minutes to.
Because your audio is being pulled by something else. You can hear it.
Dun, 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 dun. IT is on the way. Dun, dun, dun,
Audio. Speakers NVIDIA broadcast. Take out your headphones. Real tech audio. Okay? That's what I did before you changed it. So good.
Okay. So we're good again. Can everybody hear me?
I can hear you.
All right. This is so fun. Chris, I appreciate your patience with you still there, right? Chris. We lost Chris. I'm kidding. We didn't
Kevin.
we didn't lose Chris. I don't know who I'm welcoming.
Well, they're watching. Just welcome.
Okay,
Let
so
us know who you
welcome
are.
whomever is watching.
Let us know.
Let us know who you are. You can go ahead and put your comments in. Right, today we're talking about the stages of change, and we are going to have a wonderful guest on, named Chris, and he's going to allow us to go through the stages of change using his actual journey to recovery, which is absolutely amazing. So, for those of us that don't know the stages of change, we have pre-contemplative, contemplative, we have preparation, we have action, and we have maintenance. Okay. So the pre-contemplative stage is your life as it's always been. You don't realize there is a problem. You are living life the way that you have always lived life. And then we go into the pre-contemplative stage. That's when we realize inside somewhere in here, all right, there's a problem. I'm not in as much of control over this addiction as I might have thought that I was. This is the time where we kind of realize maybe this is like something more than me just having a good time. But we don't know what to do about it. We have no idea what to do about it. And then we go into preparation. This is when a person might go online and look up different AA or NA meetings. They might actually be intoxicated at the time and go on to a meeting and not say anything. They're preparing, they're getting ready, and then action is when they actually stop you know doing either the drinking or whatever their drug of choice is, right? And they go into recovery, because a lot of times people don't just quit cold turkey. I know that's what we see a lot on TV, but that's not really a huge thing. I'm not saying no one does, but it is more common for someone to go into a recovery program, and then the last stage is maintenance. It is every single day making that decision to stay clean and sober, and what that looks like. And so we're gonna bring Chris on, and he's going to tell us a little bit about himself. We thank him so much for coming on today. And um and then I'm going to ask you about your pre-contemplative stage. But first, I would like for you to have a chance to introduce yourself.
Well, thank you for having me. First and foremost, I don't know if you guys can hear me. Is that everything okay?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you. Thank you.
Not a problem. Well, my name is Chris R. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic from Cincinnati, Ohio. 41 years old. Um, I have been married 2 years now. I have 5 children and 4 grandchildren, and I'm an inventory control analyst for that company named Wayfair. Yes, I said their name. It's okay. I'm allowed to say it. Um,
Okay.
and my sobriety date is January 1st, 2021. I got sober on New Year's Day. I guess that's my New Year's resolution from now on for the rest of my life. Um, but
Wow.
but that is my sobriety date, and that's from alcohol. I didn't. Drugs really was not my thing per se. But they say alcohol is a drug, which it is. So I do both programs. I do AA and NA.
Oh,
Um,
wow. Okay.
yeah, I do both.
So, Chris, tell me about your life in the pre-contemplative stage. Now, that's the stage where you don't know anything is going on. You're just living life as usual.
Um, before my of course, my drinking and stuff like that. I had a very good childhood up until I was like probably say about 8 or 9 years old. And then that's when my dad started bringing alcohol in the house, and my mom started bringing drugs inside the home. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword, where it's like I had nowhere to run, had nowhere to go to.
Wow.
My grandma um, was, she, and I'm not trying to say this in a bad way, but she was old. She didn't know that my parents were doing what they were doing. It was just basically a place where I could go to, lay my head, get some food, and then that was it. I couldn't really run to her and say, "Hey, you know what? My mom and dad are going through a thing," because, of course, I would get told, "Oh, you wouldn't say that about your mom because your mom's this, or you couldn't say that about your dad because your dad's this." So there's like no one to run to. So basically, for me, running was just like going to school or playing that sport or going to a friend's house or going somewhere to escape that abuse from the home life, because
Yeah.
once that abuse started for them, the drug abuse and alcohol abuse, that's when the physical abuse started, the sexual abuse started, the mental abuse started, the emotional abuse started, all this stuff started taking place. And I
Yeah.
was one of six children, so there was four girls and two boys in a home, so I wasn't the only one that was being stuff was happening to. So and I was the baby out of all of them. So go figure. Oh, you got the baby, you got the the not the short end of the stick, but you got this or you got that. Eh, no, not in my household.
So, Chris, let me ask this. As the baby, did you notice your siblings having a level of protective capacity over you? Were they able to help out more with
um,
you?
my sisters, not per se, because my sisters, and I know I'm on a program to speak truth, so my sisters are really promiscuous, if you per se, because of course they saw my mom going through what she was going through, so they were sleeping with whoever and whatever. But my brother, oddly enough, he was in a gang, and that just took off. Once I found out my brother was in a gang, I was like, okay, well, can I join? It's just like kind of like you got those Michael Jordan tennis shoes. Can I have a pair? And
Yeah.
that's all it took. My brother said, okay, you sure you want to do this? And I was like, well, absolutely, because mom and dad aren't there for us, so who else is going to be there for me? And obviously, you're not, because you're doing this, and our sisters aren't doing anything because they're not doing anything with their life besides going to school and, like I said, sleeping with whoever and whatever. Um, so I joined the gang with my brother. So yeah, my brother.
So I'm going to fast forward. When I talk about the pre-contemplative stage, I think I'm more or less talking about your life while you were drinking before you realized that it was a problem for you.
Okay. Well, I started drinking. I want to say when I was like 9 or 10. I went to a football game with my dad. And it was actually a Dallas Cowboys football game, so it's actually my favorite team. Don't shoot me.
Okay.
Um, but at the end of the day, that was my first game I went to, as a Cowboys game with my dad. He just told me, take a sip and shut up. And so I did. And he gave me some big red gum to chew it off. And my mom really didn't care because, of course, she was doing her thing. But I still felt bad for lying to my mom and saying I didn't drink anything. But I'd probably say when I was like 9, and I'd fast forward a little bit, like you said, I just on and off. on and off, on and off, on and off. And it didn't really stick till I was actually able enough to buy it. Once I was able to buy it and I was legally to buy it, all bets are off. I was buying with cases and courts and you name it. It was like the liquor store in my house 24/7, and I was a functional alcoholic. I would bring it with me to work. I would go to church with it. I'm not gonna lie. It just no matter wherever I could go, I brought it with me. Everybody's, oh, that's Sprite. Yep. That's
Sure.
apple juice. Yep. So there's no need to fabricate anything. If I could get my hands on it, and if I was able to buy it, guess what? Chris was going to get it, and a lot of people used to refer to me when I was little as Red from Shawshank Redemption. If you ever saw it, when he was able to get anything and anything, that's how that's how I was with the alcohol. If you wanted it and you couldn't get it, trust me, I get it for you. And yeah.
Describe to me what, in your eyes, it means to be a functional alcoholic.
In my eyes, it's like, just getting up, taking a sip right away, not even brushing your teeth, going to work with it, putting in your locker, going to break, drinking some more, going back to the floor, drinking while I'm on the floor, doing my job, taking another break, drinking some more, driving home, drinking some more. Yes, I was driving and drinking. I don't recommend it. No, no, no. But this guy did. And then going, just repeat, hardly ever eating. I remember going to the grocery store, buying all this food and all this alcohol. And I remember just stuff would get freezer burnt, stuff would get molded, stuff would get curled, stuff would get out of date because I was more consumed about drinking than eating. Like the only thing I could really eat was just bread. And I would just eat bread to fill me up because I didn't really care about nothing else. I didn't really care about, oh, I got a T-bone steak in the freezer. Who cares? I just wanted that shot, or I wanted that beer. I wanted this. I wanted that. I wanted this. I wanted that. I didn't care about eating. All I wanted was drink.
Right. Right.
So
And that makes sense. So going from the pre-contemplative where we don't know that anything is wrong, we're just kind of living life as it is. What happened in your life that switched you from pre-contemplative to contemplative where you realize, okay, maybe I have an addiction to alcohol?
two things. One is when I went to the liquor store, I went to go to my old liquor store I used to go to, and my card, I want to go use my card, my debit card, and it said insufficient funds. I had literally ran my credit card over $2,000, like literally just boom. And the owner said, you can't use your card here no more. And I'm like, well, why? He's like, because it said you don't have no money. You can't, you know, it's not going to work. You remember if you had, now if it was clear, of course you could buy some, but if my card was not taken, I was in a negative, like almost $2,000. And then I went back to the hotel room I was at, and I actually detoxed myself. I don't recommend it. I didn't go through a doctor. I didn't go through no facility. I didn't go through nothing else. I did all the shakes, the throwing up, the going to the bathroom myself, all that stuff by myself for like almost a week. And then once I got come to, I was like, I think I need some help because, one, I don't have nowhere to go. Two, my card is insufficient. Three, I need to figure this out. And of course, the Passages of Malibu commercial came on TV, and I'm like, oh, I could probably go there. But I was like, I'm not gonna, no program is gonna be like playing pool, not pool, but playing, waking up every day by the ocean and stuff like that. So my friend had recommended me the Salvation Army.
Okay.
And so I actually went there here in Cincinnati. That's where I went. But before I went and pulled up on the door, my daughter's the one that gave me a wake up call and said, "Dad, this is your life, not mine.
Mm-hmm.
And I need you to grow up. And if you can't grow up, then I'll see you from afar." And she hung up the
Yeah.
phone. And she hung up the phone. So
Wow.
that's what made me like, oh, okay, I need to do some work because I can't. I got to meet my higher power, which is God for me.
Right.
I gotta meet him halfway. I know he could do everything, but I gotta do some work.
Yeah. 100%.
So that's what made me push was my daughter and me, of course, doing through the detox stuff myself, which I don't, like I said, I don't recommend, but I think that's what scared me was the detox thing by myself, and then of course my daughter telling me that don't call me, don't text me, don't write me, none of that until you graduate. When you graduate and you become an adult, and I'll think about having you back in my life. Until then, click.
Yeah.
I was like, man, she hung up. I tried to call her back and I couldn't because it went straight to voicemail. And of course, I
Yeah.
had to turn my phone in. I couldn't have a phone while I was there, so I was without a phone for almost a year.
And so what you're describing is what happens a lot of times when there is a parent struggling with a level of addiction, whether it's alcohol or otherwise, where the child, which is normally older by that point, will put a firm boundary, a rigid boundary, and they're like, "Listen, I'm not going to allow this to affect my life anymore. I want to be, be around you and all of that, but I'm not going to do it you as you are." They set an expectation and they say you have to either rise to this expectation or this relationship is no more. And so that is what Chris is describing. Now I want to go back to this detox because I want to be clear. You know, detox is nothing to mess around with. Okay. It is super hard on your body. I as a mental health professional, and welcome Natasha. As a mental health professional, I do not recommend going through detox without a nurse or some type of medical facility, because your body goes through a severe level of dehydration. There's shakes, there's vomiting, there is all these different types of things, and it's not something that is ever recommended to do alone. So what Chris did, as courageous as it was, is also dangerous, and I just want to make sure that I put that out there, as he also recommends, not to do it that way. So so what I'm hearing you say is after you detox and you went through the severity of the detox, you then understood how serious the disease actually was.
Yes, ma'am. I saw, and I'm not trying to be crazy graphic, but when I threw up, I kind of felt like my life was like being like all what I've been through in my life was like being thrown up out of the way. It was time for me to make a change. It's kind of like, okay, you go on that crazy ride out at a theme park, and you're like, it's your first time going, and then you throw up, and then it's like, and then you're back to normal. You feel you want to get back to normal. You want to get back to you. You want to be a brand new you again. You want to be, you know what? Okay, that's cool. I can go back on it again. Um, and that's what I felt like with me. I was like, you know what? I did what I had did, and now it's time for me to make a change. Now it's time for me to clean up, and that's why I tell people all the time. I was a mess up. Now I'm a bless up, because at the end of the day, I was messed up,
I love that. I love that.
and now it's time for me to rise up because now I have kids. I wasn't married yet, but I have kids. I have responsibilities. I have to go to work. I have to do this. I have to do that. I have to be Chris again, but the real Chris. I have to be, what my mom and dad, if they were still alive at that point, I wanted them to be proud, even though they'd done some crazy stuff. But I wanted them to know that, what, your son was able to get healed. Your son was able to go through a program to get help, and he was able to stick with it and graduate and do what he had to do, and and be successful, not just be, and I'm not trying to say this in a mean way, a statistic. I wanted to be somebody that rose above that and be like, you know what, if he could do it, I could do it.
Yeah.
And that's what I looked at with the guys that I was in the program with, because I was in a program with like 95 other guys. So that's 95 other people talking about their drug problem, their alcohol problem, 95 different personalities, 95 different perspectives, 95 different backgrounds, and just trying to have that one common goal. And that's just to get better, to get right, so they can get right with God and get right with themselves, so they can get up out of there and be a change.
Mhm.
So that's what I wanted to do for myself and for my children.
So, and I think that's very inspirational. I want to focus in on the fact that you went through detox as your preparation stage. Now, some
Mm-hmm.
people think, well, detox, well, that must be the action phase. No, detox was the preparation phase.
Mm-hmm.
That's when he realized, oh, this is not just as easy as not picking up a drink, and all of those things were kind of together. And then he went and got help. That was his action phase. When he went to the Salvation Army and got help, that was the action phase.
Mm-hmm.
What was the Salvation Army like for you?
A, a rude awakening, if that makes
Yeah,
sense, because I did not believe what I did not believe in God until I got there, if that makes sense.
yeah,
It's a Christian-based program. So I went from not going to church at all when I was a child to now going to church as an adult 3 times a week, in a suit, in a tie, in a dress jacket, in dress pants, in dress shoes, waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning, being downstairs before 6:40, doing a daily devotional, going to breakfast at 7, getting out of breakfast at 7:30, doing working in the store, hanging up T-shirts from 7:30 to 3:30. Got out at 3:30. Went to go into a Bible study class for about an hour. After that was over, go to dinner. After that was over, go do a course study. After the course was just so much stuff for 6 months.
yeah,
But the first phase, they have 4 phases. The first phase is 28 days. They call that personal reflection time, where you can't leave the property whatsoever. All you could do is just go outside for some fresh air or smoke a cigarette if you had cigarettes, and go right back inside the building, and they'll breathalyze you. Whatever phase you're on, whether you're leaving the property or coming back, they're going to breathalyze you. You get drug tested at least once a month. Um, and you go through all that to go to phase 2, and then phase 2 will be 6 weeks, except now you got to go to more meetings, more classes, more Bible study, more devotionals. Then phase 3 hits, 6 more weeks of that, and then you got to go to more classes, more Bible study, um, more meetings and stuff like that. When you first start out there, you're only required 2 meetings. When it's all said and done, you have to graduate with at least by the bare minimum, at least 90 meetings, at least 90. If you can't reach 90, then they'll talk it over with you and say, hey, you know what, we'll give you a little bit more time, but you got to hit your 90 mark at least before your year. By the time I got to phase 3, I would probably say I had well over 100, because I wanted this so bad. I'm trying
yeah,
not to get emotional right now. I wanted this so bad, not only for my kids, but for myself, because I always been told when I was younger, I was a failure. You're not going to amount to nothing. You're never going to be nothing. You're a piece of that. You'll never get married. You're too big. You're this. You're that. Well, guess what? I'm married. I'm still big. I'm a recovered alcoholic. Now what? It's like, come on.
say it.
you
You
know
know,
but
you
it's an
oh,
intensive program. If you want Jesus, or you really want to follow God, or you believe that your higher power is God, which he is mine, then he will show you that even though while you're in that building, that the world's not going to stop. The world's not going to stop spinning because you're in that program.
yeah,
However, like I said in the beginning, you have to do some work. You can't expect to think that they have pool tables there, they got video games there and all this other stuff. I'm just going to play pool all day. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And you got some work to do from 7 to 3:30. You got to hang up t-shirts. You got to fold some pants. You got to put some clothes away. You got to go through stereo equipment. You got to go through bedding. It might have bed bugs on it, but guess what? You got to do some work therapy. That's what they call intense work therapy for 8 hours. Then you got to go to classes. You got to go to Bible study classes. You got to memorize Bible verses. You got to memorize different things from what the commanders are telling you. You got to do household chores. You got to clean that shower with bleach and a mop and a squeegee and all this other stuff. Every other deep clean, every other Saturday. You got to do some work. It's not just going to be handed to you. You're going to,
Absolutely.
and
And Chris, real quick, I would love to touch on the importance of that regimen. Because when you're going from having a drug of choice, whether it's alcohol or otherwise, right? That's your whole life.
Mhm.
And so one of the main things that happens once you stop drinking or once you stop using is all of a sudden you have all this idle time. And I and it's just like, oh my gosh, going into programs like that where it's so regimented, where your schedule is planned out for you, where they have all of these things for you to do with your time. Can you talk about how important that is for someone newly getting into recovery?
For me, that was the best thing because that kept my mind off of where I could be, where I want to be, where what else am I going to do? For them to have that structure like that and everything like on time, and there's clocks all over the place, so there's not a factor. You can't say what time is it because there's clocks everywhere. But for them to have that schedule saying, you know what, from 6 o'clock a.m. wake up by 6:40, you have to be downstairs, fully dressed, ready to go to work, everything. Then from 7 o'clock to 7:30, breakfast, and then from 7:30 to 3:30, work therapy. 3:30 to 5. Um, a Bible class, 5 o'clock to 5:30. You got dinner. Then from 5:30 to 7, another class, and from 8 to 9:30, a meeting. It could be AA meeting, NA meeting, whatever. And 10 o'clock bed. 6 o'clock goes by. It's time to wake up again. 6 o'clock in the morning, wake up. 6:40 devotional. 7 o'clock. And
Yeah.
that happened every single day. And on Sunday was even real crazy because on Sunday you're like, oh, it's a day of rest, day of relaxation. And you got to get up. You got to get your dress jacket on, your suit on, your tie on. They don't if you can't tie a tie, someone will be there to help you tie a tie. So suit and tie, dress pants, dress shoes, sitting in the first few rows of the pews, participate in like singing hymns, participate and Bible study at the church, which was for like 2.5, maybe 3 hours. You got to be fully awake. Can't go to sleep. You go to sleep, they'll say, you know what? Better luck next Sunday. If you fall asleep that time, they'll say, you know what? We're just going to dismiss you. So it's like a one and done type thing. You have to be on your game. If you want
Yeah.
it, if you want it, and you sign that contract, you know what? I'm going to be a part of this program for 6 months or however long it takes you. Then you gotta really, really go forward. Like you said, the schedule is intense, but to keep my mind off of, I could have went to a bar at 9 o'clock in the morning, or I could have went to this club at 3 o'clock in the morning. No, that's the farthest thing from my mind. I didn't even think about that. None of that. Because at 3 o'clock in the morning, I was like, oh man, 3 more hours, gotta wake up. Then I gotta go to work. And I gotta do this. I gotta do that. So that was the farthest thing from my mind. So they definitely, yeah, what you said hit it right on the head. They definitely keep you occupied. There's no, and if there is a problem that arises where that you still have those little flashbacks, then you wait till the morning. You talk with the house manager and say, look, you know what? I'm not trying to miss work therapy, but I will go to work therapy. But can you tell the commanders that I'm going through a problem. I'm going through a phase, and I'll try to get you some help. So it's not like you're, oh well, haha. No, they're gonna help you. So it's not like you're gonna be on it by yourself.
Absolutely. Essentially, in offering you that structure, they're teaching you how to live
Hmm.
versus how to survive, right?
Correct. Correct.
When we're drinking, when we're with our within our addiction, we're surviving. We're surviving from one drink to the next drink, or one use to the next use. And what they teach you in that regimented routine is how to start living, how to start putting things back in your schedule, how to go and get active, how to believe in something higher than yourself, and gather faith, not just in that, but in yourself, to be able to stay sober.
Hmm.
I mean, it sounds like an amazing program. So, after going through the program, because that would be your action phase right there, right?
Hmm.
Um, how has maintenance been for you? How have you been going through the steps, the 12 steps?
Well, let's see. I have a sponsor who has a sponsor. Between all four, there's four of us. Between all four of us, there's like last night. Between all four of us, we counted. There's 73 years of sobriety between all four of us. So that
Wow.
being said, like I said, I have a sponsor as a sponsor as a sponsor as a sponsor. So there's all four of us. Um, After I left the program, I went to a sober living apartment because I couldn't get it right by myself just yet. I couldn't be like, you know what? Okay, world, I'm here. No, I had to get another structured environment to get my mind right because I wanted to make sure that now I could go living from with 95 other guys. Now I could just go to living with one and see what it's like. So I was living in a sober living apartment for a while. I had to get a job right away, of course. The first 2 weeks were free. I was like, thank God, because I had no money. But I was able to get a job right away at a local grocery store. And once I got that job, my sponsor told me then at that time, make sure you go to your meetings. The house manager that was at the sober living apartment, he said, make sure you go to your meetings. Make sure you go to your meetings. And I'm like, but I go to work. He's like, yeah, but make sure you go to your meetings. I'm like, yeah, but I got to go to work, dude, but go to your meetings. So it's just really in my head, go to my meetings. And then that's where, well, she's my wife now, but at the time she was my boss. So yeah, kind of 13th step a little bit, but it's okay. It's all good. Um, but she held me accountable too. She's like, before we go on a date, don't you got to go to a meeting? I'm like, wait,
Mhm.
what? We're supposed to go to Buffalo Wild Wing and watch this football game. She's like, no, you better go to that meeting first. I'll see you at halftime. What? But the one thing I love about her more than anything is when we first started dating is that she held me accountable so much that she sat in front of the bar. I was sitting in front of her and she would pray with me. She would talk with me. She said, "You know what? We're not gonna go forward until you get yourself right. You have to get yourself right first before we can continue going on this dating journey. Before we can think about going to the next level, before we can think about going to the next phase, you have to get yourself right."
Wow.
So that's
And
that's one thing that she has done from back then, and she still does it to this day. She's like, "Hey, did you go to this meeting? Did you do this? Did you do that? Did you do this? Did you do that?" And I'm like, "You might as well become my sponsor because you're man." But it's a good thing because I needed that, right? I needed that, and I still do because, like I said, I got 3 years in this, and almost 4 years. January 1st will be 4 years, and for her to hold myself accountable by going to meetings with me, chairing meetings with me, going to different meetings with me, going to different places with me, and sharing these meetings and giving my lead and doing what I got to do. She just inspires me that much to just keep on going forward with my life because not only as I'm not only her husband, but I'm her best friend.
yeah,
And she could tell me, look, you know what, you're kind of slipping a little bit. You didn't go to this meeting this week, but it's okay. It's okay to not be okay in her eyes, just like everybody we know. But I had to ask her daughters first before I could, marry their mom. I said, hey, you know what? I was thinking about marrying your mom. But the first thing they asked me was like, she might drink. Is that going to be okay? And I'm like, wait, what? She might have a drink in front of you. You're going to be okay with that? Are you going to throw a fit? Are you going to get into an argument with her? Are you going to drink with her? What are you going to do? So her daughters had to ask questions, and those questions got answered really quickly. Look, she drinks. She drinks. I don't care. I don't. All I want to do is put a ring on it. That's all I care about. I don't care about nothing else. But
So you brought up a very good point, right? Because we go through the sobriety journey, and we go into our maintenance phase, right? Which I love the fact that you took it a step further and went into sober living, because a lot of people will end it right at the Salvation Army and then
hmm
just kind of go out into the real world with, and which has pretty much no structure again,
hmm
and then fall back into old habits. So I really encourage individuals that go through that Salvation Army program or any program to try to get into sober living if you can, because that helps give a new perspective to life without drinking, and it still holds you or using, and it holds you accountable. But I really want to dig into having a spouse, because this could be a spouse, this could be friends, this could be family, right?
hmm
That still drinks, because like you said before, the world still turns.
hmm
Whether we're detoxed, whether we're sober or not, the world is still going to turn. Everybody in the world is not going to become sober because we're sober. You
True.
know what I mean? And so we have to learn how to live in a world of individuals who may not have the problem with alcohol that we had, or they might be in the pre-contemplative stage if they're using other addictive drugs and things like that. How has it been being in a relationship, in a marriage, with someone who drinks casually?
It's been, at first it was challenging, but then I was like, you know what? I gotta see. I gotta. She understands that. She asked me before anything. Look, you know what? I might take a drink. I might get one. You gonna be okay? Even though I still got 3 years in, she still asked me, "You're gonna be okay," and that's what gets me really pumped up. Like, okay, I got this. It's cool. You could do it. But for her to ask me, we've been to concerts before. We've been to different places. We're getting ready to go on vacation pretty soon to Florida for a week.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
so she has already told me, look, I'm gonna lay by the beach and I might have a drink or two, and I'm gonna get this. Go ahead, you deserve it, because at the end of the day, you work hard. You could play hardest too. I could do it too with some Sprite. I could get a Shirley Temple. I could get a non-alcoholic strawberry daiquiri. I could
There
get a
you
non.
go.
I can have fun too. And at the end of the day, as long as she gives me that heads up, look, you know what, I'm gonna take, I'm gonna get this. Then it's not a problem. Even if she had did it without me knowing, she'll still tell me, look, by the way, I just want to let you know, I did drink with such and such, but all I had was one. Or you know what, I took a sip of such and such, and that's all I did. So for her to hold herself accountable for telling
Yeah.
me, you know what, by the way, yeah, so it's perfect. I mean, I know a lot of things aren't perfect, but with her coming to me and asking me, I did this or I did that, or would you mind? You know what? I have no problem. That's been perfect the whole way through. So I couldn't ask for a better life partner, a better, what the Fast and the Furious would say, ride or die. I couldn't ask for a better person.
I mean, she sounds absolutely awesome. She really, really does. Um, so part of recovery, right, is making amends.
hmm
And so I know that you at some point mentioned your daughter and the rigid boundary that she had set while you were going through that process, right? And hi Sarah, by the way, thank you for watching. And I would like for you to go back to that relationship and talk to me about the amends process and where you are with that and your daughter.
Well, for me, it was first, before I made the amends to her, I had to make the amends to my parents, which both of them had passed away. So I got a balloon. I took an envelope. I wrote a letter to both my parents, and I sent them off twice. And I don't know where it's at, but all I know is I wrapped up with an envelope, and it just went up. I just went up in the air.
Yeah.
And then I made an amends to my sponsor right away, because I wanted to tell him I'm sorry for taking his time, for him, coming to see me on the Salvation Army 3 times a week when he was just recently a new husband and a new father, taking away time from him, making amends to his wife and saying, I'm sorry for taking your husband away, but I really needed some help. Making amends to all these people. I mean, I have my amends list is like super long. If I showed you, you'd be like, wait, what? Still doing it. Um, but for my kids, because like I have three stepchildren and I have two biological children, but I might as well say I have five children. I don't say step, I say five. So it was really difficult. Um, but I was glad they accepted that apology, and I was glad they could tell me, you know what, Dad, I'm glad you got the help. I'm glad I could call you. My kid, my wife's children, they call me Dad. Um, and so for that aspect, that's awesome. And just getting that respect back. The amends process is painful. It is not some. It is not some walk in the park. Like I can't just say, you know, I'm just gonna say her name's Vicky, even though his name's not Vicky. I can't just say, I'm sorry, Vicky, love Dad. No,
Right.
Vicky got 3 or 4 pages, and then she got, I'm sorry, love Dad. And that's everybody. Everybody at least got 2 or 3 pages. I even made an amends to my wife. You know what? I'm sorry for not being that clean husband. I'm sorry for not being that husband that was not right away pure. I was sorry for not being not that good for you. And there was a time where like, what do we do? What are you talking about? Divorce? I'm like, wait, well, no, 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 no. What I was saying was, and so, but in her mind, because she's not an alcoholic, she didn't understand the concept of an amends. She thought I was writing a letter telling her, you know what, this is it. We're not going to be together no more. She thought it was going to be that kind of letter. Um, so the amends process is really, really painful. Like I said, I do these steps Monday through Sunday, every single day. Right now, I'm on step one now. I just finished 12 2 weeks ago. So now I'm on step one where I realized that I was powerless over my alcohol. So yeah, I do them every day and every night. And I work with my sponsor like twice a week over the phone, 2 hours every Tuesday and Thursday. And I just get into it. We're like, you know what? Let's knock this out because we both need it. Not only is he helping me, but I'm also helping him because I have to also reach out to him and ask him how he's doing because guess what? He took the time to come out and reach out to this alcoholic. Now it's time for me, this alcoholic, to go reach out to him and say, hey, you know what? You're good? Okay, let's get to work. So, yeah.
Part of the amends process, and you mentioned that it's painful, and it definitely can be. Part of it though is actually listening to the hurt that we've caused other people.
Mm-hmm.
Some individuals that go through the 12 steps might use that as a time to acknowledge just what they feel they've done wrong, and then say, well, I'm sorry about that, or apologize for that, or write a letter for that, but they don't want to sit and listen to their children or their family talk about the actual hurt that they went through. Um, how was that process for you, or did that process happen for you?
I was able to take first before I did any kind of amends. I told everybody right away from the get go. Look, if you guys have a problem with anything I'm going to tell you, then you need to stop. You need to let me know ahead of time. You need to let me know that excuse me. You need to let me know that I've either pushed a boundary or I pushed a button or they pushed your feelings or something like that. You need to let me know because I don't want to get started in something and pour my heart out to you and keep on telling you that I'm sorry and all of a sudden it's just going nowhere. It's going to a dead end road. You got to help me, help you, help me, help you. It's a two-way street. It's not, I can't do everything 100 and you just reciprocate and only give me 25%. You got to give me back 100, just like my relationship or with my marriage. I got to put 100% in. She's not. If I put half-ass in, excuse my French on your show. If I put half tail in, then I'm going to get half tail results. I got to give 100% of myself, my full undivided attention to my wife at all times, 24/7. When I leave this household, not only am I a father, I'm also a husband, a grandfather. Yes, I have grandkids. I have 4 of them. I'm a grandfather. I'm an employee. I'm a son. I'm a son-in-law. I'm a brother in Christ. I'm a brother-in-law. I have all these titles, but ultimately, I'm still Chris, and that's what I want to stick. I want Chris as that title. Chris has all these titles, but that, for what you just said, I had to have all of them tell me, look, you know what? Okay, I can accept your apology, but you could have done it this better. But you could have done this, or you could have that. Okay, that's cool. Now I know next time. Now I know if I write my meds to you again, I know what to expect, and I know what to conquer that at that time. I know what to recognize at that time. I'm sorry I didn't recognize it this time, but maybe next time, give me the benefit of the doubt. It's my first time doing it, whatever. And I'm still doing it. Like I said, I've been doing the meds. I don't know how. I got pages. I got like almost a book full of amends from people from back when I was a child. So what? Like I said, I'm 41 now, and that's like I want to say like over 30 years of people that I done hurt, stole from, lied to, cheated on, disrespected. Where I got into a fight with somebody. All this stuff. And like my mom used to tell me when my brothers and sisters when we were kids, blessed messes. So come on, because at the end of the day, I'm proud to say I am a blessed mess, and that's why I tell people all the time in this recovery. If one thing I could tell anybody, whether it's a newcomer or someone that has 20 years, there's 3 things that I challenge you to do. And if you could do these 3 things, then you can make it in this recovery world. And that is to chill, be still, and do God's will. If you do all 3 of those, I can guarantee you that you will go far in your recovery without a shadow of a doubt.
Chill, be still, and do God's will. And I'm glad that you brought this up, because I did have a question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now for you, your higher power, was God, and you
Mm-hmm.
went to church in the Salvation Army. Did you see anyone, coming in that may not have I don't know, been Christian, or maybe, they were atheists or
Mm.
whatever the case may be, but they still wanted recovery. Maybe they didn't believe in going to church, but they still wanted recovery. Did you see anyone's journey similar to that?
I've met a lot of guys in that program. When July 18th of this year will be 3 years since I graduated from there. So I've met a lot of people. But I would say, you said the atheist. I know a guy. He totally transformed. This guy walked in with some stuff on his chest, and him saying this and him saying that. And now he works at a church. He's actually working with the youth pastor at a church here locally by where I live at. And this recovery turned his life around. Like, this guy is not, when I first met him, he was wearing, all black, dyed black hair, black fingernail polish, big old silver chains. Now this guy's wearing a suit every single day to work, catching a bus, clean fingernails, no more jewelry, getting married pretty soon. Got twin daughters that have just been born, I think 3 or 4 months ago now.
Oh, wow.
Totally transformed. Like this, you would not, if you had seen what I seen almost 2 years ago to what you see now, you like, man, God really did a total 720 on this kid. And I say kid because he's 27. I'm 41. So yeah, I got some age on him, but I still call him a kid. But at the end of the day, yeah, I've seen all walks of life. I've seen trans people go through a thing. I've seen the LGBTQ community go through so much hell while they were there at the Salvation Army, but by believers like myself giving them hell. But
Yeah.
now it's like, you know what? So what? My best friend recently passed away. I'll say his name is Larry, and he was part of that community with very out there, But at the end of the day, he was my best friend, and I could tell him anything, like he could tell me anything. But he had passed away in December. But our bond was so close that his sister gave my wife and myself some of his ashes in a necklace. Who does
Wow.
that? You know, that's just how much of an impact that my wife and I made on him. You know, but at the end of the day, to answer your question, I've seen so many guys go through so much stuff, and now it's like you would not think that the stuff that they were, what they're going through, what they had, what they did go through, and what they're going through now, and a lot of them are, some of them are back in the program again because you could go back. It's not just a one-time thing. If you have to go back, you have to go back. It's okay. We understand. Life's not perfect, and if you fall, it's okay. They're going to pick you back up. You're going to go through the program again. Let's do it again. Let's go. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of guys that I know that are like totally transformed. So that answers your question. Yeah, they're totally transformed. You would not think. Yeah.
And I kind of want to touch on just briefly.
Hmm.
You were saying, you know, some of the people in the LGBTQ community had, um, you know, some issues going through the Salvation Army program, and may not have been treated in a way that, it sounds like, you know, one would aspire to be,
Hmm.
you know, be treated. And talk to me a little bit about that. You know, what was that like? You know, seeing that. What were your thoughts on that?
You know, at the end of the day, it's like I don't know if your mom's ever told you this, or you know, they say a closed mouth doesn't get fed, right? So me, I had to open up my mouth right away. That's why they call me big head. They call me speaker box because I don't. My tolerance for crap like that is real thin. Now that I'm sober and I'm clear and I'm sober minded, I had to speak up. I was like, "Who are you to judge somebody? Who are you to tell this person that they can't get this recovery? Or who are you to tell them that they're not accepted? Because guess what? Guess where they're at? They're sitting right next to you. They're eating right next to you. They're sleeping right next to you. They're taking a shower right next to you. They are a person. They have a heart. They're an individual. They are a brother in Christ. If you can't accept that, then you're in the wrong spot because you can't be all telling me, "Oh, I'm praying for you," God bless you, and all this other stuff. And then all of a sudden, the same guy, which was like I said, my best friend, would walk right next to him, like, "Oh, devil's gonna get him." And so my friend would be like, "Okay, well, the devil's gonna get you too because you just judged me. So we're both go to hell together." So at the end of the day, I've seen a lot of people get hurt in that community, but I've also seen a lot of people in that community didn't give up. They still put their shoes on. They still put their pants leg one leg at a time, and they were able to graduate. And now it's like full fledged recovery, just like I am.
That's awesome.
So yeah.
That is so awesome, and I thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story and letting me use it as an example to walk through the stages of change. Mr. Machismo, you have been so patient as we went through this process. Did you have any questions for Chris or anything that you wanted to say? I appreciate you.
Uh, I just want to say, I don't know you, Chris, but I am uber proud of you, Chris, for just really taking that thing by the horns and really just having a passion about your change, having a passion about your betterment, and that's something that I'm sure that's something that one day it's gonna be all over, social media, and it's gonna be something that somebody that you may never know that is gonna change there forever. And that's tell that story as much as you can because people need to hear it.
I definitely appreciate that, brother. It's funny because now I used to go to like the 6 meetings a week, and I've counted how many meetings I've actually been to, and as of last night, I've been in like 2,700 meetings in 3 years.
Putting
So got to put some work in,
putting
and
that work in, yeah.
I got to on a
Man,
daily and nightly. I just can't, just like it was. Oh, praise God! I gotta praise Him during the daytime and the nighttime. I
that,
can't just,
that,
I have to. I put God first, my recovery second, and everything else will roll off that.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah,
That's
man.
good.
So I definitely, and it's funny you say the story online. I actually went on a Zoom meeting last weekend, and the Zoom was in New Zealand, so I was able to talk to some people in a prison in New Zealand, telling my story. Like over 1,000 inmates were watching me on TV in New Zealand on a TV. So yeah,
Wow.
I love it. I love telling my story. There's some stuff I left out because it's like kind of really, really messed up. But at the end of the day, if I could go through, if I could go through what I went through to that new person that says, you know what, I can't do this. I can't drop that apostrophe, drop that T and put I can. Where there's a will, there's a way.
That is
So
so good, man.
yeah, I hate when people say I can't. I hate it. I hate it. It just burns my soul. It's like I just want to go through that phone or go through that computer screen or go through that door and just like shake him like that Homer Simpson when he was choking his son Bart. Like yeah, like come on, like let's get this recovery and go. Like because this is not. It's not just a daily. It's a daily thing. This is my program for the rest of my life. This is my life. I have. How can I say this shortly? I have let's see, I don't have another recovery in me. I don't have another 3 years to say, you know what, I can do this again. I don't have it. I've already told my wife that. I told my kids that. I even told my higher power that. Look, if I went back out there, it's over. There's no coming back. They're anywhere but backwards. I get it. I'm not going to go back, but I'm just saying I can't go back to that lifestyle because if I went back, y'all be reading me about me in the papers for sure, because I don't have that in me to do it again. I don't have the energy and I don't have the time. The resources are there, yes. But as far as me going back out there and coming right back to, I could do another 3 years. I could do it. That ain't gonna happen.
So I wanna thank you again for coming going. Are there any are you a part of like any organizations or any, anything that you would like to give credit to, maybe give a link or, names of, where people who are looking to recover can go. We want to shine some light on some of those resources you talked about.
Yeah, if you you can contact the Salvation Army. It's a program. So anybody, we love the free word, right? Hey, free, hey. So that right there program is good for you for 6 months up to a year. And it's in different cities. So if you're a woman or a man, because they have some cities that have women, they're good for women and men. Different cities vary by of course, there's different cities in different states, but you got to call your local Salvation Army to see if they have. It's called an Adult Rehabilitation Center, the ARC. So you can call and see if your city has both for men and women, or just men, or just women. They have that. And if you're an Alcoholics Anonymous like myself, they have an app that you can go on Google Play Store. It's called Everything AA, and they have anything from, you could put the time and it will show the time you have in the program, like how many days, how many hours, how many minutes, how many seconds. It will show you about the big book. If you can't read, it's okay. Press the audio button and it'll be able to tell it to you. You'll be able to hear it, whether it's the 12 and 12 traditions, the AA big book, or if you can't find a meeting, excuse me, if you say, well, I don't want to go to an in-person meeting, that's okay. They have Zoom. Download Zoom, and there's a link. It's called Online Meeting Finder. You can go to meetings all over the world, all day and all night. Like I said, I was in New Zealand last week, and I'm sitting right here in Cincinnati on my couch. So everybody can say, I can't go to a meeting because it's impossible. If you got a smartphone, like 98% of us all do in this crazy country. Yeah, I said it, in this crazy country. Then you could get to a meeting. There's no excuses. They'll do email verification. They'll do court verification. And there's some meetings that are on it for 24 hours. I've been to a meeting one time. I was on it for 6 hours. I was tired, but you know what? I needed it. because I got to do some work. And yeah, so you'll be able to go on Google and find meeting finder, and find local meetings in your area. They got this thing, Founders Day, coming up in June pretty soon for the AA, for how it was founded, Alcoholics Anonymous in Akron, Ohio, in June. I wish I could go to that, but I gotta go to work. But they have that coming up. They got different things around, probably around your city. Volunteer at a church. Do some things to keep your mind off that alcohol. Yes, we know it's still going to be there. We know it's in the back of your brain, but keep on going. Keep going forward. Backwards is not an option. And if you fall, guess what? As a brother in Christ and as someone that's been through this for over 3 years, I'm going to help pick you back up. And I'm going to help you get whatever you need to help, whatever you need with, whether it's going to a meeting, getting a sponsor, whatever you need. Let's go. Let's get back your time again. I can't speak for me because I'll be able to have this time back again. But I know I can help that newcomer. If they had like 5 years and they slipped up, but they came back up and said, you know what, Chris, I got a problem. You know what? Let's get them 5 years back again. Let's not dwell in like, oh, I'm never going to be about anything. I'm a mope and I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. No, that's a bunch of crap. We have a purpose, because guess what? Even broken crayons still color.
All right. Say that. That is all. Even broken crayons still color. 100%. And I'll second what Mr. Mochismo said. Definitely proud of you and your journey. I know it is one day at a time. It's a never ending decision, that you're making. 100%. Keep telling your story. Keep telling your story. We were able to bring Chris on today because he reached out via email. So if you also want to be a guest on Supportive Advice Live, email me, aqueelahwheatley at supportiveadvice.com, and I'll put it on the screen. aqueelahwheatley at supportiveadvice.com. And I thank you so much, Chris, for reaching out. You have given us some invaluable information, and bless you in your journey.
Bless you too, and thank you for having me, and bless you both. Standing prayers for you both, and for your platform, and prayers for your practice, and keep up the great job. I've seen testimonials from people, and I tell you what, I might be giving you a call myself, because you know what? At the end of the day, all of us, we all in this world need some help, and we all could get it. We all need it. So I really appreciate you and your platform. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. You have a great day, Chris.
You too. Thank you so much.
All right. So we're going to fade out with a commercial. And thank you, everybody who joined in. Thank you again, Chris. We really appreciate you and your story. Please keep telling your story every day. Keep telling your story. And anybody else that's out there that's going through addiction, no matter where you are in your journey, whether you're pre-contemplative, contemplative, whether you're in preparation, action, or maintenance, reach out for help. That's what it's for. That's what people like myself, therapists, are here for. That's what the Salvation Army and other facilities such as that, like Harbor Lights, for another example, that's what they're for. It's not too late. It's not too late to start your life over again the way you want to. So with that being said, we are going to end with a commercial break, and I thank you all for watching.
Let me be a part of your journey.